Probably a couple months ago, I was reading webcomics with some other guys in my office, and we just sit and read the same three over and over and over again. Like White Ninja, Toothpaste for Dinner, Penny Arcade, stuff like that. But like you never really ventured far off of the same three that got tossed back and forth. And then I kind of just started making an index of all the web comics I had heard of, and then this kind of started. It keeps growing every day. It's pretty fun to check out the new ones when they sign up. I don't know. Anyone can sign up. I mean, all you have to do is really have an RSS feed. Makes it a lot easier. But if you don't, you can still manually post your update. Whenever. But if it's an RSS feed, you just drop in your URL, title, what tags your comic has, and then the rest pretty much just runs itself. Yeah, the hot comics, probably like a good example would be like Spud Comics. He did one about Steve Jobs when he passed, and his traffic went through the roof. And if you looked at that page, you would see that someone's got something that's really good for that day or really relevant, and a lot of people are digging it. And then the thumbs up is kind of just what people are you know liking. But also, I mean, if you get more traffic to your comic, you can get more thumbs up. But eventually, the site's going to take more of a social turn where you're going to be able to see what other people are liking. You'll have friends and what they follow, and you'll be able to see, like like I read I Am Arg like 5 days a week. So like if I were to thumbs up two of them on my page and see the two comics that I like that week. Yeah, Checkered Man is a great example of kind of why I started like a site like if you've read Checkered Man, it's a great comic, but the guy gets like no traffic, it seems like, and he's probably got one of the best styles, I guess I would say, and it's a cool story, and it flows well and everything, and it's a professional seeming comic, but no one hits it because it just doesn't fall into that gag a day kind of thing. But if you stumble into it and then you start reading, 10, 12 pages, you're pretty much stuck. Like I was pretty bummed out when he went on hiatus, but when he came back, I was pretty stoked. What I do for work is I do software for monitoring networks, which is thousands and thousands of routers and interfaces and stats and stuff like that. So I mean, this is almost a cakewalk for me. I like doing this. It's easy. No one's gonna chop your head off because their comic is indexed the wrong way. Um, but yeah, I mean, you roll across some great comics like Toon Hall and stuff like that. I mean, and it's all about when you're signed in, it's what you like. It's not, oh, here's the best comics. No, it's what you dig. If you dig the Bean, you're gonna see a bunch of fantasy comics. If you like Toon Hall, you're gonna see some dirty kind of just gag a day kind of comics and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, it's all. I just wanted to make it dynamic for people. So you pop in, and if you block something because you don't like it, it's gone. It's never going to show up on the site again for you. Yeah, like here, I'll click on Space Trawler, and there's a thing at the top that says more like this. And if I click that, it's going to show me all the comics that are like it. Like, okay, Space Trawler. If you like that, a lot of fans also like the Bean, so you can see the connection there. Space Trawler is a not a gag a day, its own story, and so is the Bean, so is Next Town Over, The Specialist, The End, Shadowbinders, and most similar is based by tags, and you've got Last Resort, Blue Star Blues, Walking on Broken Glass, Starcrossed, Lols, which is odd that it's on there, but stuff like that. So I mean, and then under it, it's got the tags of what's in the comic. So you could click on like science fiction, and it's going to give you a big list of all the sci-fi comics on Ink. So I mean, you span a lot of stuff because like scenes from a multiverse that's on there, but it's like a gag a day sci-fi kind of thing. So you can't just list a comic as sci-fi. You got to list it as gag a day sci-fi. Aliens. Yeah, because I mean there's gag a day, and then there's gag a day could be like a Garfield kind of comic, but then you got gag a day single panel. That's like a Far Side comic. So if you really, and then you got the Odd Couples gag a day, which would be like a Calvin and Hobbes, Robbie and Bobby kind of thing. But yeah, the more you break it down, the easier it is to find exactly what you're looking for. I mean, I had some negative stuff in the beginning because there is a lot of I had never done like webcomics before I started playing with it, and I got a lot of hate because of the scraper sites and stuff like that. But I'm not trying to scrape anyone's site. I'm just trying to guide someone who's like, me when I started, where I'm reading 3 webcomics, and I'm like, well, now I'm out of stuff to slack off with at work. I'd like to have 20 comics to read so I can blow off, a half hour at a time. But I'm just trying to guide someone from like, okay, I like these 20 comics, and this is what I want to read whenever they update. So you go to Ink, and it's click, click, click. There we go. I read all my comics. And I think once creators understood that I wasn't scraping anything and I was more directing people to their sites and giving them traffic, they were more embracing of it, I guess. Because I mean, I get a lot of positive feedback now, and some sites are getting, I'm not a huge traffic site, but over 400 clickers a day to their comic. So it's getting there. And I think for readers, the webcomic world's been in this bubble for so long. It's nice for someone to say, I like Two Guys and a Guy, and Two Guys and Guy, show me other comics like this. And then boom, now this reader who hasn't been in the webcomics can be like, wow, I'll check out these 10 comics. And all of a sudden now they're looking at I Am Arg, and they're like, show me 10 comics like this. And all of a sudden someone who hasn't been in the scene ever now is following 60 comics and goes to all of them, multiple times a week. When I started developing, I read all this. Some people had like word pads with like, all the links in there and stuff like that, and all the bookmarks, and and RSS readers. And I tried an RSS reader once, and the thing I hated about it was I put the bean in there, and I actually follow the bean, and all of a sudden I'm seeing a recent page that I hadn't gotten up to that point yet, and I was like, crap. Now I've spoiled the story for myself. And if you were to go to the bean on Ink, it's going to say, what's the last page this guy looked at? Drop him here. Here you go. We're going to keep you on the right pace. Well, I leave my email address at the bottom and contact us. But contact us, it should just be contact me. But the Google Plus page, that's probably where I get a lot of my feedback. Twitter also. I usually fire out ideas. I'm pretty open with what I'm doing, and the community helps a lot. Like people like to see things move forward. Like Dennis Karen of Lols, he's always a big person I check with. John Wigger of Zombie Rooming. There's a lot of people who chime in. Usually I fire out questions all the time about what I should do and where I should go with stuff. I don't want people to comment on InkOUTBREAK. I want people to comment on the specific sites. So if someone has something nice to say about Checkered Man, I don't want that, Denver to have to go to, InkOUTBREAK just to check his comments, or me to fire him emails that he has to get. I'd like people to just comment there. But as far as like, say I have 10 buddies and I want to see what they're doing, you'd see it kind of like a Twitter log of like what people are checking out. And in a week, you'd be able to see like, one of your buddies started to follow Mojo, and you're like, oh, what's this? And you click on it, you can see the tags and check out the comic. But I mean, that's about it. It's not going to be too much like, there's not going to be a lot of talking. It's just going to be, there will be things to help. If you want your friends to influence what you're going to see, you're basically going to be able to check a box. And if you're new to webcomics and your buddy's been into it forever, and so is one of your other friends, you let that influence what you're going to see. And all of a sudden the queue is going to build, okay, your two buddies love these kind of comics, and it's going to just build you a list to check out. Yeah, no, it's, I feel wicked lazy now, because I mean, I don't even type a URL, and usually everything I follow, I think, is on Ink. There's much I follow that's not. There are a few comics that weren't into the whole, Ink when it first came out, and because they thought I was a scraper site, I got like, cease and desist kind of thing. That was probably when Ink was about to go on. I was about to just say, forget it, because I don't like dealing with copyright and stuff like that. But after that happened, it was just like probably 15 comics but one of them was one that I followed a lot, and I can't think of the name. But anyways, you know, eventually I hope those guys, you know, hop on board as well. Oh, I was just gonna say, I think to break out of this webcomic circle we're in, where it's creators reading other creation, it's mostly creators reading other people's webcomics, but you do have a good flow of people who are just reading. But I think a lot of it is you don't, I don't know, I don't think you get a lot of people from outside the world because of the term webcomic sometimes and stuff like that. It's hard to introduce people to. There's a lot more online than just Penny Arcade. This is my opinion. I mean, I love H.G. Wells and stuff like that, but I don't know. I can see comics. I mean, you don't print them in the newspaper, and the ones that are in the newspaper have no interest to you. You get a funny comic that comes along and you like reading. Like I read Toonhole, never miss an update ever since I found it, and I just think with the internet, you're able to make things dynamically. So, I mean, it's no longer, oh, here's the Sunday comic. Here's Garfield, who was funny, 15% of the time, but it was there, so you read it. But I think it's all about getting in people's faces, and when they finally see your comic, then it's, you've got followers, and I don't know. I think webcomics just need to be introduced to people better. And then people would be more into it. Because I mean, if you read Far Side online, you wouldn't think of it as a web comic, But I think we walk up to people with this thing of, oh, it's free. Oh, I'm just trying this as a hobby. Here's my comic. That's what I think. I don't know. I just think it just needs to be introduced better, and you'll get so much better results. I mean, I did pretty well with just the social media stuff. The banner exchange does help me a bit, because when people are clicking through, a lot of creators, say link to my ink page, and that brings them to InkOUTBREAK, the view that you're seeing your comic in there, and that helps. But I don't have a lot of money. I can't drop it into ad. I drop like my big campaigns for like a day on Project Wonderful. It's like $3. I just, I love the project, but I get donations once in a while that pays for like the web server. I get a little bit of ad money, but for marketing, it's all about, I try and listen to everyone's problems. If someone's got an issue, I just respond to it as best as possible. And I think I have a lot of people who, if I said on Twitter, hey, do I do a good enough job? Yes, of course, you do great. And, I try and just keep that up and hope that that person I'm helping spreads the word to 2 other people and 2 other people, and so on and so on. Oh yeah, I mean, I'm working on doing widgets and stuff like that for, you have your blog, but for comics that you're reading and have recently like thumbed up kind of thing, I'm making widgets so people can say, instead of having links to other comics on their sites, they can have, widgets about what they're currently reading, because as a reader, when I was going and being, oh, this guy likes these comics, let me check them out, and it hasn't been updated since 2009, I'm like, all right, well, why am I going to start following this now? But it would help you make a, recently updated list and stuff like that, so that you can keep your readers kind of current. As far as what, I guess, I mean, I'm pretty quick with programming, so I mean, if it's within the reins of grabbing something, I can do it. I'm one of those people who likes challenges, but anything coming down the pipe, I mean, unless I see some DRM kind of thing where, well, even then, I don't know, I can't really see anything that would hinder me, because I think I've looked at the model of all, web comics and stuff like that, and seen, I don't know, the direction of where it's going, and I think it's going to stay almost the same thing. It's just about, I think webcomics in the next 2 years are going to get a lot more serious with, you can make a living. I mean, look at the guy who makes Nerf this. He makes a living. I think Hijinks Ensues. I think you can do it. I mean, of course, the arcade, PvP, those guys. Well, you market yourself well, you have a good, solid, quality product, and you put out, a good-looking banner, and because that's what people are going to look at. It's like putting on a suit for a job interview. about stuff like that, you can, easily make some money with your webcomic. I mean, it's all about, connecting with people. I mean, if you know, I don't know, you're friendly with people, it's going to go a long way. I mean, there's, Dennis Karen, he did a big mention for Ink on his website for me, and it gave me a good boost of traffic. And it's just, all about just making connections. I always try to make sure I reply to everyone's email when they email me, and that sometimes means me. I use that Google Talk on your phone, and I'll write an email like that while I'm driving. The guy who makes Maroon. I sent a email to him. Yeah. I sent a long email to him. It was all in little speeches. Half of it made sense. I was just making sure I got back to you. Because, I mean, I do have a full-time job that takes a lot of my time. So it was nice just before we started, people were saying that our highest traffic is coming from the banner exchange. And that's, something you don't, as a reader, you're not going to see anywhere on the page. Well, I mean, I'm going to eventually start putting some people who donate and stuff, I'm going to put their banners in the site. Like, if you look at the site right now, randomly it comes up Amy A. doing a fundraiser and the Beans doing one. But there's also big banners like the Specialist who they donate to the site. So I try and make big banners to help promote their stuff. But the banner exchange, as a reader, you're never going to see that part of the world. There's InkOutBreak/readers, and there's InkOutBreak/creators. And with creators, you're able to promote your comic with the banner exchange, which is getting like over 1 million page views a day. And some comics, getting a lot of, exposure from it, which is great. And a lot of the comics back in the day, we had it so users could add like an RSS feed title. Now it's the actual creator has to sign up to the site. Just because of when I had the cease and desist orders, I said, forget this. I don't really want to deal with, people getting upset with me when I'm trying to just push forward with something. Usually I go through and I try and clean up all the black boxes. Oh, no, I try and do a blog updates to talk about the features on Ink. I think I do one almost every 2 months, but I always update the site features probably more often than I talk about it. CC Rogers 3D just asked, where's the best place to donate to Ink? At the very bottom of Ink, there is a donate button. And in the creator section, if you are on the banner exchange, there is a way to do it for subscriptions. So you could just say, because the banner exchange is actually the heaviest load that I have on my server. I mean, it's not killing my server, but as it expands every day, getting up to 1 million page views can, hurt a site because you're doing queries for the database every time. That way you can see the detailed stats. Anyways, yada yada. There's a subscription button there. There's $1, $5, and $10. Now, any bit helps. Trust me. I hate when ink goes into my pockets. Because I don't know. I just had a big burst of donations, so it's pretty motivating to see the money come in. People saying, "Hey, we really appreciate what you're doing." And it helps me work on it because when it comes out of my pocket, I just lose all motivation. I'm like, because everyone's struggling right now, But if you can spare like $1 a month and so can a couple other people, there goes my server cost. Oh, I'm sure I'll be sticking around. Thanks again, Kurt.